Hi, and welcome to another episode of Twisted Talks. I'm Tanya.
I'm Josh.
And today it is Josh's turn to tell us a horrendous story.
Yes, it is.
So, and I believe this one is extra horrendous.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so take it away, my friend.
This week I am covering the case of Mary Vincent. But before I get started, trigger warning for violent sexual assault and torture of a minor, as Mary was 15 at the time of the attack. If any of this is going to be too much for you, switch it off now and join us next week for a different case.
But lads, I am familiar with this and it is a wild ride, so buckle up.
Yeah.
Buckle fully up. 5 seatbelts.
5 seatbelts.
Yeah.
Now, this will probably be kind of a short episode as well.
Yeah.
But
I have noticed, and I'm sure I said this, I have noticed, and I'm sure I said this to you, I feel like lately, and I think it's because we've covered a lot of the bigger cases that we've wanted to cover, it's been kind of hard to find as much information on the cases that we're doing. And
I also feel like with, obviously, me being gone for the full of next month, we're obviously making sure to get 3 cases recorded a week.
Yeah, so
like, it's really, we also have to kind of like pick certain cases to manage our time better so that we actually can have 3 cases done a week.
I feel like once we to London.
Yeah. And I feel like once we get to like back to the part of the calendar where I have it set to like where it'll be 1 week we're recording your solo, my solo, the next week we're recording just the
It'll give
joint.
us more time.
We'll only have 1 case each week ourselves to work on, so we'll be able to pick even slightly bigger cases for the solos as well.
Exactly, and then with the joints we do have...
we always stay fairly chunky with the joints anyway.
And we do have a list, a shared like notes folder for joint cases, and we have quite a few in there that we want to get through. And honestly, if you guys have any suggestions at all, whether it be a joint or a solo, don't hesitate to send them on.
Oh my god, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but I meant to mention it in the very first time we recorded. We have a website.
Oh yeah, we have a website now, guys, and it's fucking class.
So twistedtalks.net. You can find all of our contact details there. You can find whatever you need really there. So you can also go there to submit suggestions and stuff like that for cases and things, or find emails if you want to get in touch. If you don't get in touch with through social media, obviously, because you can do that as well.
And if you're not aware, Josh is the technological guru for all of this. I'm not capable. So he has set up, like he's done everything. Like you have done absolutely everything technology wise. He set up all the social medias. He deals with the recording app, like the recording equipment and all of that. He did the website all by himself, and I personally think it looks so amazing.
On that, the website thing was quite easy to do in the simple fact that most of the stuff to do with like the website and emails and stuff like that was a manic purchase.
Beautiful. I love that for you.
But I was like, at least it lasts.
Wait, do you want money for that?
No,
is it expensive?
It's fine for now anyway.
Okay.
I'll hit you up if I'm ever stuck.
Yeah, let me know.
If I'm ever stuck.
Like,
acting like I live above the poverty line.
Like, hi, remember that time that I set up the website? I'd like you to transfer me $6.99.
Yeah, but I'm like, I feel like the easier way to do it is it's not like I consulted you beforehand.
Yeah.
So that you
It just
owe me
happened.
half. I just did it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what we can do is if things go well, it's like you can just pay for the renewal next year and I'll pay for the renewal the year after. Do you know?
I think that's kind of what we've decided anyway, because like
because like we'll have to renew the theme tune.
Yeah, like
as well
Josh sorted like the theme
really
tune and all of that. So like I said to him that when it comes time to renew it, I'll renew it because he paid for it the first time, and just to keep everything fair.
Yeah, so like
it's a joint venture. It's only fair.
Venture. Anyway, so I better get into the case because I'm not sure how my laptop's going to do for battery. Both of us are hungry.
We really want McDonald's.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering...
it's quite funny because people are going to think we're eating McDonald's every week because we're recording... Yeah. Because we mentioned it in the last episode, but it's the same day.
No, it's in the next episode because we recorded mine first because my phone was dying.
Oh, yes.
But it's all being recorded on the same day.
But I feel like we surely probably mentioned McDonald's in the
we probably did.
Like,
well. I've slowly been getting hungrier and hungrier. Like, I want a double McPlant right now and a caramel frappe. I know it's like fucking... What is it? It's 20
it's
to 9.
It's not too bad.
It's 20 to 9 at night, but I'm absolutely having a double McPlant and a
I want McDonald's and a boyfriend. But I'll settle for
I'm getting McDonald's and I have a boyfriend. And a dog.
I have 2 dogs and 3 birds.
You do.
One that bites me.
Yes, I have
when
a cat
he feels
that bites
like
me.
it.
Oh, Tammy bit me the other day, and I've like a little mark under my chin.
And
Tilly ate my sunflower sprouts.
Sprites.
My sprites.
New flavour of Sprite.
Anyway,
7 Up. Sprite.
Tell
flour.
the people
that
about
made no sense.
Anyway,
yes, into the case. So, Mary Vincent was born in 1963. Now, I didn't find any reliable sources to give an exact date, which I thought was strange because she's still alive, but there is nowhere online that seems to have a definitive date. But anyway, that's her private personal information. That's her business. In her early years, Mary lived with her parents in Las Vegas, Nevada, I believe
Nevada.
Las Vegas is in.
It is.
Her mother was a blackjack dealer and her father
Ooh.
was a mechanic. Mary was one of 7 children in her family.
7.
7, big family.
Ooh.
In 1978, at 15 years old, Mary was a competitive dancer, and it is said that she had a bright future already beginning to bloom. Her instructors were confident that Mary could have a career in dance if she'd wanted to. She had dreams of travelling the world performing, so obviously she did want to have that career in dance. And ambitious. However, her family life was a different story. Mary was not very close with her parents, and she ran away from home after her parents announced that they were divorcing. Mary moved to California with her boyfriend, and the couple lived out of a car. However, Mary's boyfriend was soon arrested for the rape of a teenage girl, and Mary Vincent was on her own.
Okay, so I'm assuming her boyfriend was an older man.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right,
I didn't even get a name
That's
of
probably
him.
a bold assumption to make, but it's my assumption and I'm sticking by it.
So either it was like either he was a kind of a teen as well, and he also, just because I suppose whether he was a teen or an older man, he still raped a
He's
teenage
still a
girl.
rapist.
So but I don't know. I didn't find anything really out about him.
Okay.
Now Mary decided that she would make her way to her grandfather's house in Corona, California, which was almost 400 miles away.
Corona.
Yeah. However, with no car or mode of transport, her only option was to hitchhike. And this is when she would meet 50-year-old Lawrence Singleton. Now, there are conflicting sources. Some say that she was going to her grandfather's, and others say that she was trying to get back to Las Vegas from her grandfather's. So I'm more inclined to believe that she was trying to get to her grandfather's in California, and that lines up with other podcasts I've heard covering the case. But either way, it doesn't change anything that happened, regardless of where she was going.
Yeah.
I apologise for the rain. Unfortunately, I can't control the weather.
Yeah. But it's like a bit of an ASMR
Background
background
music
for you guys.
White noise.
Sorry, I'm gonna shake my coffee bottle.
Shaka. That was the rain.
Yeah.
So, Lawrence had pulled his van in and offered Mary a lift. He seemed friendly and was older, but the strange thing here is that Mary was at the side of the road with 2 other hitchhikers, but Singleton only offered a lift to Mary Vincent. He claimed that there wasn't room for anyone else in his van. His empty van at that, might I add. His empty van. Now, Lawrence promised Mary that he would take her as far as Interstate 5. 15-year-old Mary accepted his offer and got into the van. Now, a little while into the journey, Mary had sneezed, and Singleton asked her if she was sick, and then he put his hand on her neck to check her temperature.
Get your hands off my neck.
She assumed that he was just being kind, and she soon fell asleep.
Oh. Poor Mary.
When Mary woke up, she noticed that they were going the wrong way. Obviously, this made her uneasy, and this was probably when fear began to kick in a little bit, and Mary may have felt like she'd made a mistake getting into Singleton's van. Now, Mary found a sharp stick in the van, and she pointed it at Singleton and demanded that he turn around. Lawrence Singleton claimed that he was, quote, just an honest man who made a mistake, unquote.
Fuck off.
And then he started to drive in the right direction. Singleton soon pulled the van over, saying that he needed to take a bathroom break. Basically, he needed to take a piss. And Mary decided she would also get out of the van so that she could, stretch her legs and get some fresh air. They're driving across America. It's a long trip. Outside of the van, Mary bent down to tie her shoelaces. Now, I actually didn't find it in any of my research, but I remember when I listened to Red Handed cover this case, Hannah and Cerruti, love them. But I believe they said that when she when she fell asleep, her shoelaces were tied.
Okay.
But Mary had to bend down and tie her shoelaces when she was outside of the van because either one or both of them were undone.
Okay,
so again, not from my resources, but if I'm remembering rightly, I think in Red Handed that it is possible that he could have untied her shoelaces while she was sleeping. But pinch of salt, because I want to make sure, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that was said. So yeah, she bent down to tie her shoelace, and as she was doing so, Singleton hit her in the head with a sledgehammer, tied her hands.
A sledgehammer?
Yeah. Do you know, I always thought a sledgehammer was like an axe point. I didn't realise it was the one with the...
it's a square thing.
Yeah.
Or, rectangular, square, whatever.
Until today.
Oh, There you go.
But
You
anyway,
learned something.
so hit her with a sledgehammer in the head, tied her hands and dragged her into the back of the van. Singleton spent most of the night violently raping and sodomizing Mary and had told her that if she screamed he would kill her.
That poor girl.
Mary Vincent begged to be let go, and Singleton suddenly said, "You want to be free, I'll set you free." He then grabbed a hatchet and cut off both of Mary's arms below the elbow and stated, "Okay, now you're free."
What a disgusting human being.
That
poor girl.
Yeah. So Singleton then pushed a naked Mary down a 30-foot canyon, leaving her there to die, assuming that she would pass out and bleed to death before anyone would find her. However, death was not in the cards for Mary Vincent. She survived. And I think that's miraculous, and just how strong she must be, especially at 15,
it's
to survive that.
There's another case that I'll probably cover at some point, and it was this woman. She was attacked by two teenagers or two men, and they like violently attacked her. Like the woman's intestines she was disemboweled, and they left her in the woods or something like that, and she managed to crawl out onto the road while her intestines were hanging out of her. Like
this does sound familiar to me. I think Red-Handed might have covered it.
I think so. I think that's actually where I heard it as well. But basically, I think she used her shirt or something to like keep her intestines and her bowels in, and she managed to crawl onto the road, and someone found her, and she survived. But like it just amazes me how humans can survive so much.
Yeah.
Like even Peyton, the girl in the Slenderman stabbings, like she managed to get through the woods onto the road to be found. Like the will to survive just amazes me sometimes, honestly.
I do like, I don't know if I'd be able to do that in those situations. Like, then again, I guess it's something as well that
you don't know until
that part of you doesn't kick in until it has to.
It's like the human instinct.
It's like the caveman brain.
Yeah, the caveman brain.
The instinct of literally just survival.
Yeah.
So now, naked and going in and out of consciousness, Mary managed to crawl out of the canyon and make her way 3 miles back to Interstate 6.
Oh my God.
With no arms.
And bleeding profusely. Still, and after being viciously
And I don't know
raped.
whether it was kind of like, whether she had the knowledge to do this, or whether it was just an instinct her body was telling her to do when she did it, and it was the right thing to do. Mary held what was left of her arms, so like I suppose in the most nicest way possible, the stumps up, straight up, so that she wouldn't lose as much blood, and according to court documents, to prevent muscles from falling out.
Oh my God, that is awful.
Yeah. So the first car that saw Mary Vincent, now, okay, at first I was like, what the fuck? But then I was like, you know what, if you saw something like that, it is understandable that not everyone would stop. The first car that saw Mary Vincent drove right past her. The 2 men must have, been frightened by what they were seeing, a young girl covered in blood and missing her arms.
Or maybe they just
they couldn't have known whether it was a victim, whether it was someone that was maybe going to try and make them a victim.
Yeah,
maybe it was a sick joke.
Yeah.
Or
maybe they just genuinely didn't realise what they were seeing, I suppose, if you drove past really fast.
Yeah. But anyway. Luckily, a young couple who were in the next car to see Mary stopped and brought her to the nearest hospital. Mary had to undergo intense surgery to save her life, and she was fitted with prosthetic arms, which is obviously a major change that would take years of physical therapy to adjust to.
Absolutely.
Sorry, something on my glasses, that's annoying. But anyway, Mary also had underwent psychotherapy to help her to cope with all of the trauma that she'd endured and survived. While still being treated for her injuries, Mary worked with detectives to identify and locate her attacker. Excuse me. Mary's description of Singleton was actually so clear and detailed that when the police sketch went out, Singleton was immediately recognised by a neighbour who reported him to the police.
Good woman, Mary.
I swear to God, if my phone doesn't stop going off, I'm going to throw it out the window.
Do not disturb, Josh.
Dead leg. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, immediately recognised by a neighbour and reported. So once Lawrence Singleton had been found and arrested, Mary testified at his trial, leading to his conviction. It is also reported that when Mary Vincent left the stand during the trial, that Singleton whispered to her, "I'll finish this job if it takes me the rest of my life."
Fuck off, Lawrence. You look like a burnt testicle.
Like?
He does.
Burnt testicle.
He looks like... Have you seen the man?
Don't insult testicles.
He looks like a burnt testicle. I stand by it.
No, I think that's unfair to the testicles.
So I said burnt testicle, not just a standard testicle.
I think he's so bad it's even an insult to the burnt
Right,
testicles.
well, I'm sorry. He looks like a fucking...
I don't know.
A piece of coal that's been rolled in dung and set on fire.
I was going to say something, but then I realised I best not.
Okay. And we don't have time to pause for you to tell me.
No, I'll tell you later. So, unfortunately, this is the part that got me the fucking most. Unfortunately, the laws at the time were much too lenient, and the maximum penalty that Singleton could be given was 14 years in prison. 14.
Are you fucking joking?
Which is the sentence he got after being found guilty of kidnapping, attempted murder, and rape.
You fucking joking.
Yeah. This case actually led to a change in law.
Kidnapped the girl.
Yeah.
Violently raped her for hours. She was 15.
Yeah.
And he cut off
her
both of her arms, kicked her down a 30-foot canyon, left her for dead,
and
got
years.
14 years in prison.
Oh, wait, girl, if you're angry now, it gets worse. It gets worse. But the only good thing to come out of any of this... Ooh,
sorry.
The only good thing to come out of any of it was the fact that there was changes made because of it.
Okay.
So, you know... So San Diego Superior Court Judge Earl Mass, who was the judge in the case, said, if I had the power, I would send him to prison for the rest of his natural life.
Even the judge knew.
Yeah, even the judge was like, this is wrong, but this is the most I can give by law, I suppose. Now, however, Lawrence Singleton only served just over 8 years of his sentence in prison, and he was released on parole for good behaviour.
Are you fucking kidding me? The man kidnapped a teenage girl, brutalised her, maimed her, cut off her body parts.
Got a very low sentence.
Very low sentence in the first place, and he only served just over half that.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Mm-hmm. I am livid.
It's infuriating.
My blood is boiling. I am absolutely fucking livid.
I'm not laughing at something to do with the case. I'm laughing at something to do with you, and I'll tell you afterwards.
Jesus Christ, Josh, you're giving me anxiety.
Oh no, it's not a bad thing. It's just a funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, from that point on, Mary lived in fear, terrified that one day Singleton would make good on the promise he had made to her in court. Mary won a civil judgment suit against Singleton, in which the court awarded $2.56 million. However, this was money she would never see due to Singleton being unemployed and lacking any means to pay it. So the state
should have to pay it, I think.
That's what I would have thought too. And like penalise him or something somehow. Or
he's got no income, but like send him back to prison.
Yeah. I can't understand how he got released on good behaviour.
Like, even if it's good behaviour, the fucking... What's the word I'm looking for?
I feel like if this was to have happened now, he wouldn't have gotten released on good behaviour.
Yeah, like the circumstances surrounding his crime should have been enough to keep him in prison.
Yes, regardless.
Yeah.
But I suppose because of the law and legislation at the time, he was entitled to still get parole.
It was too lenient.
So, like I was saying, I can't understand how he got to be released on good behaviour, because not only did he threaten Mary Vincent in court, a previous prison psychiatric evaluation of Singleton stated that he was, quote, so out of touch with his hostility and anger, he remains an elevated threat to others' safety, inside and outside of prison.
And they let him
unquote. Out. So they weren't just saying danger to people outside of prison, even a danger to the people in the prison.
And they let him out because he was a good boy.
But anyway, and as if that shouldn't have been enough to not only keep him in prison, but in solitary confinement, in my opinion.
Yes. Or in like a restricted unit.
He had also written multiple letters to Mary Vincent's lawyer during his incarceration, threatening her.
Are you... and they let him out!
On good behaviour.
I want to punch something. Preferably him.
I was about to say, don't punch me anyway. So it wouldn't be until 1987 that Singleton's law would be passed to create tougher sentences and no early release in crimes that involved torture. So the only thing that came out of that I could see being anything good was that going forward, justice would be better served.
Justice she deserved.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the years that followed were very difficult for Mary Vincent. While she may have survived the worst of it all, she was severely depressed, and her dream of becoming a dancer was ruined by the reconstructive surgery she had to undergo due to her injuries, because I believe they had to take stuff from her legs and stuff like that to do something. Yeah, exactly.
Probably to cover where he had cut off.
I would imagine,
arms.
yeah.
They would have had to do skin grafts.
Now, Mary was still haunted by the memories of her attack and had constant nightmares. All this trauma made it too difficult for Mary to focus and rendered her unable to work. Due to having no income, she wasn't even able to adequately maintain her prosthetic arms, and she eventually had to file for bankruptcy.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Mary had to use spare parts from broken electronics to modify her prosthetics as they were in a state of disrepair. Mary eventually found a love and passion in art and a new life in her classes at the University of Nevada before she met and married a man named Tom, who she had 2 sons with before they divorced. And as anyone could have predicted, Singleton did strike again, but this time it wasn't Mary Vincent he attacked.
They should have just fucking left him in prison.
Yep, thrown away the key.
Put him somewhere. Let him rot.
So by the late 1990s, Singleton was living in Tampa, Florida. There was no community in California willing to accept him, which, obviously.
He's a scumbag.
I'd assume wherever he lived in Florida, in Tampa, I'm assuming people didn't actually know who he was,
Yeah.
or I'd imagine they wouldn't have wanted him there either.
Yeah, and I'd say it's not like, with sex offenders in the US, they have to be registered and you can look up how many sex offenders are living in your area.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that doesn't apply to crimes like this. Although she was 15, so...
Probably would.
But I suppose...
But
people
again...
wouldn't think to look it up sometimes.
Why would anyone think to, the new neighbour moved in, let's check if he's a sex offender.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
wouldn't really...
It's not something you do unless you were
No.
given a reason to. And
Yeah.
if nobody knew him there, they'd no reason to.
They'd no reason to...
Without,
to
yeah.
suspect.
And if they knew, then they wouldn't need to look it up because they knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So on the 19th of February 1997, Singleton lured 31-year-old mother of 3, Roxanne Hayes, into his home and violently murdered her.
Oh my god.
Neighbours of Singleton had heard Roxanne Hayes' screams and phoned the police. Unfortunately, it was too late, and when officers arrived at the house, Roxanne was already dead on the floor, covered in blood and stab wounds. Obviously, Lawrence Singleton was arrested. Upon learning of Singleton's arrest, Mary Vincent flew from California to Florida to testify on behalf of Roxanne Hayes. In court, Mary told her story of what happened to her at the hands of Lawrence Singleton to highlight how depraved a man Singleton was and why he should be given the death sentence.
Yes.
Mary Vincent told the jury, "I was raped, I had my arms cut off, he used a hatchet, he left me to die." Lawrence Singleton was sentenced to death on the 14th of April 1998. Singleton spent 3 years in prison awaiting his execution, but he died from cancer at the age of 74, good fucking riddance, while still on death row. Mary Vincent could live in peace for the first time in decades, knowing that he couldn't come after her or hurt her ever again. Now, obviously, I want to stay in as much peace as you can once you've been through all of that. But I mean, at least she doesn't have to look over her shoulder worrying that he's going to pop up again. So this is the last little bit, which is just a general aftermath. So I might end up mentioning stuff I've already mentioned once or twice, but we'll see. Mary has lived, obviously, a difficult life with the trauma and PTSD inflicted on her by Singleton. In the years after the attack, Mary wasn't sure if she would ever live a normal life. There had been many struggles. She'd gotten married, had 2 children, gotten divorced. She eventually founded the Mary Vincent Foundation to help other survivors of violent crimes. Mary once said, speaking about Singleton, "He destroyed everything about me, my way of thinking, my way of life, holding on to innocence, and I'm still doing everything I can to hold on." Mary has spoken honestly and openly about her journey and finding healing in becoming an advocate for victims' rights. Mary is a very private person, but she often steps out of her comfort zone to give motivational speeches, in which she also cautions young women about the dangers of hitchhiking. In 2003, Mary Vincent opened up about how trauma still affects her, how the trauma still affects her. She told the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, I've broken bones thanks to my nightmares. I've jumped up and dislocated my shoulder just trying to get out of bed. I've cracked ribs and smashed my nose."
Oh my god.
So, that's
So she must be having night terrors.
Like
terrorizing nightmares.
Yeah. Now, art has really become something that has helped Mary with the trauma of what she has been through. She couldn't afford to buy high-end prosthetics, so she made her own using parts from refrigerators and stereo systems, and she taught herself to draw and paint using her inventions.
That's really
admirable.
Admirable, but there's another word. Is it ingenuity?
Oh, no, but I know what you're trying to say. Innovative.
Innovative, yes.
And on about before the attack, Mary told the Ventura County Star, "I couldn't draw a straight line, even with a ruler I would mess it up. This is something that woke up after the attack, and my artwork has inspired me and given me self-esteem." Mary Vincent's art is mostly made up of chalk pastels of powerfully upbeat women, like female action figures and superheroes, I guess you could call them. She also creates family and individual portraits on commission. Mary's customised prosthetics are her own work of art, and she has even made a custom prosthetic for bowling.
Really?
Yeah, and then just kind of, Mary Vincent just wants to live her own private life according to multiple sources and interviews that she's taken part in. I think she really just wants to,
Have
to
her
some
life
extent
be
leave
hers.
it behind her as much as she can, be in charge of her life, do what she can to help other victims, and just live the best life she can and just enjoy herself from what she's doing and her art.
She seems like such a strong, amazing human being, and I'm absolutely in awe of how she has handled what she was dealt.
And even I thought it was very, of course, it's something that you would need a lot of strength to do as well, to fly from California to Florida to see that man in court again, to advocate for another victim of his.
That should never have been a victim in the first place, because he should have been sentenced for longer.
But at
I
least
suppose there's nothing that can be done
happening,
because those were the laws
put him
at the
behind
time.
bars again.
Yeah.
At least he got caught for it. But and that is the Mary Vincent case.
It's a horrible case.
I don't know if the Mary Vincent Foundation is still a thing, because I think I heard in the Red Handed episode when I listened to that a while back about it, something to do with taxes not being filed properly. I don't think it was in an intentional way or anything, but it led to it having to be just,
I think taxes,
devolved or something.
Taxes are more complicated in the
Yeah,
States,
I don't know
aren't
what it
they?
was, but something to do with it that made it possibly have to close. Now, take that with a pinch of salt, look into it, it could still be a thing, but I think it stopped unless you restarted it again. I think there was just some complications there in terms of the accounting and tax side of things. But so that is the case of Mary Vincent, a very, very strong individual.
Yes.
And yeah,
I'm glad that she has found a way to cope and to kind of overcome it as best as she can, and I'm glad that she's found art, because I know art can be very, very therapeutic. I'm glad she's been able to make something out of it, and I'm so impressed that she went through all she went through. She couldn't work because of it. She went bankrupt, and her prosthetics were in a bad state, and she found a way to fix them herself.
she literally built herself up
and
from
make
the ground,
them work
essentially.
for her and her needs. That is
to
beyond
make one for
impressive to me.
bowling.
Yeah, she has one for her everyday uses in her art and one for bowling. That is amazing. That is so impressive.
I was like, that's just very good job.
Yeah, honestly, I'm absolutely in awe of this woman, and it's awful what happened to her, but she's just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, and I have no doubt that she would have been amazing regardless, even if this hadn't happened.
If this hadn't happened, I'm sure she'd have been dancing on all the stages, and she'd have had that kind of career instead. But it's nice to see that she was able to find art that she also now loves.
Yeah.
And obviously that doesn't disregard or take away from the fact that she was...
Something was robbed from her.
It was robbed from her being able to do her dancing like she wanted to do, and so much of her life is obviously completely different than what she'd envisioned. But at least she's managing to, I suppose, pick up the pieces.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And move forward in a way that she's happy to be in, given the circumstances.
That's, yeah.
So
guys, I'm not going to threaten you this week for 5 stars.
Just do it.
Just
no
do
threats,
it.
just do it.
Just do it. Just do it because Mary's amazing.
And again, don't forget, I think, was it the start of this when I mentioned the website?
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't forget to check out the website, and you can fill out the form there to send us suggestions or get in touch for any reason you may have. Mm-hmm. Email information's there. Don't forget to make sure you're following us on social medias. There's a Twitter there as well, which I haven't been using much, but I'm going to try and start using that more. And so follow us on all of them.
On the website, you can choose to email. You can choose to email
a general podcast
email, or you can email me or Josh individually
as well,
and suggest cases. Reason. So if you want to suggest a solo case and you would prefer to hear it from Josh, or you would prefer to hear it from me, feel free to suggest it to us. If there's a joint case you want us to cover, suggest it on the main podcast. If you just have a general case you want one of us to cover, suggest it to the main podcast email. And if it's something that we can cover, we absolutely will. But with some cases, there just isn't enough information out there. We have said that if we ever start a Patreon, we will do minisodes, so we can cover those shorter cases then.
And Patreon will hopefully come soon.
Yeah.
That's more of a thing, you see. Obviously, by the time you're listening to this, it's already April. So I'm actually in... I think by the time this is up, I think I'm in New York. But I'm either in Salt Lake City or New York, but I think I'm in New York by now. Not by now, but
by the time
this is up. But I don't know where the point is. Oh yeah, so obviously things like Patreon and TikTok and stuff, we won't be
because we're starting a TikTok too.
Putting into the works until after.
You cannot escape us. You cannot escape us.
Until after
everywhere.
April. So it will not be until at least the earliest of May or June.
Yeah.
Before
all of that is up and running.
TikTok might be going by sometime in May, but Patreon might not be until June. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. But there's something for you to look forward to, some extra content.
Yes, and we have been coming up with ideas for the Patreon as well.
Yes, we're already brainstorming.
So once that's more concrete, we'll give you more details.
Yes, we'll do like, I think when the time comes for actually like when the Patreon is like about to launch or something, we can like make a TikTok video and just say in the podcast episode the weeks before like what kind of things to expect from the Patreon and stuff. For now, we're going to keep you on the edge of your seats.
Yep, but it's
and if you're not on the edge of your seats, get on the edge of the seats and get ready to give us your money. Thank you.
Please and thank you. And we are skint.
It will probably. It shouldn't be expensive. We're going to be reasonable.
It'll probably be like €90 a month.
Yes.
I feel like you can all.
I thought we were going to do it a week.
Oh, sorry, €90 a week. My apologies, because
and that's just for photos of us recording, and if you want to hear the minisodes, that's an extra $10 a day.
Yeah. So we're switching between euros and dollars just to keep it spicy. We're going to put some pounds in there, maybe some ruples, some simoleons, and those haunted, cursed coins from Pirates of the Caribbean as well.
Exactly.
We need 5 of them per week.
We also take currency from Sonic Screwdriver.
Yes.
But anyway, okay, no, but on a serious note, it will be reasonably priced. We'll evaluate the price based on the kind of content and how often we'll be able to do the content and things like that. So don't worry. Because
we're not going to break your bank.
Exactly. We know ourselves what it's like to have the broken banks.
As well, obviously with the Patreon, we're not expecting anyone to pay money if they don't want to or they don't have it.
It's just an option that's there.
It's just an option for people who want to hear more content and want to hear more like varied content.
And just genuinely want to, support the podcast, because at the end of the day, it would be amazing to get to a stage where, for example, let's say the fees of hosting a website.
Yeah.
Can be paid from the Patreon and as opposed to...
And renewing the license on the theme tune and all of that.
And things like that, just overheads.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it.
So then it's not directly coming out of our pocket. Not that obviously I don't mind what I've paid for. I don't regret any of it.
You're not paying it next year, so
it's going towards something we enjoy,
yes.
And it's the podcast, so I don't mind putting money into it. But it obviously would not complain to the Patreon covering it.
Yeah. And it'll cover our weekly McDonald's trips.
Exactly. So please cover our podcast expenses and us getting fat. Thank you. We love you. Leave 5 stars and
we love you.
We love you. Times 2. Times 3. Times 4,
infinity.
Times 5, times 6.
We love you to infinity and beyond.
Because we can't love ourselves that much, so we have to send it out. Okay.
Okay, so anyway, with that being said, we're going to go get McDonald's.
Love you all. 5 stars. Ciao for now.
Bye.